What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm going to be shooting a little bit different video, kind of a review video about an experience that I recently had. You may have seen the video that my wife and I did titled $40,000 Luxury Designer Fashion Haul. So as you may know, if you've been watching this channel for a little while, I have a bit of a shopping addiction, and during the Christmas holidays, I went out and spent $40,000 plus on various designer fashion. Everything from handbags to shoes to dresses, belts, wallets, you name it. And so one of my favorite products in everything that I've purchased, both for myself and for my wife, have been the numerous items that we got from Louis Vuitton. So I now have a Louis Vuitton belt, a Louis Vuitton wallet, my son has a Louis Vuitton wallet, my wife has Louis Vuitton shoes, 2 Louis Vuitton bags, and I've got a pair of Louis Vuitton shoes. I spent over $10,000, $15,000 in the span of a couple of months on, actually it was more than that, I think it was approaching $20,000 in the span of a few months during the holiday season this year. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is the experience that I had working with the Louis Vuitton client advisors. The Louis Vuitton product is amazing. The boutiques are amazing. And by and large, we had a very good experience with Louis Vuitton. So good, in fact, that I kind of off the cuff mentioned to one of the team leads by the name of Brianna Larson, I believe, at North Park Mall in Dallas, Texas, that I might be interested in going to work for them. And we had become friends. I'd been in the boutique so many times that she was just a lovely, smiling face every time I came into the boutique. And she really was the person that kind of took care of us. The problem that I have with Louis Vuitton is that Louis Vuitton does not employ salesmen or salespeople, saleswomen, whatever you want to call them. What Louis Vuitton employs is customer advisors, but all they really are is order takers. So in the sales world that I'm from, you've got people who succeed at actually convincing prospective customers to buy your products. And then you've got people who are basically just order takers. They just facilitate a transaction. So if my wife and I come into a Louis Vuitton store, and for example, we've already picked out the Louis Vuitton twist purse, and we happen to know that they have the specific color in stock because I've already shopped it on their website. And so we're just basically coming in and making a purchase. The person who sells us that purse, if all they sell us is that purse, is nothing more than a order taker. They did not do any salesmanship at all. They just happened to be the person who was standing there and took our order when we walked into the store. The vast majority of the client advisors that we came into contact with at Louis Vuitton were really sort of like bots. These people really, they were all very kind and very nice and very helpful, but they did not do anything to really get us excited about the product. So when we were in the store buying her first purse, which happened to be the twist, the girl showed us a number of twist purses until we selected the one that we want, and then it was like, that's it. That was it. I was shocked. I walked into a boutique store, and the only product that was even presented to us was the specific product that I said that I had looked at. She didn't offer alternative styles and purses. She didn't offer to take us to the shoe section to look at shoes, to look at the ready-to-wear collection, to look at jewelry, to look at wallets, to look at perfume. There's so many things that Louis Vuitton has on offer, and the girl who sold us this purse made no effort at all to sell us anything else in the store. So really the only reason that we ended up buying more product was because it was during the holiday season, and so there was a wait to get with a client advisor. And so I was browsing around the store, finding other things that caught my eye. So a couple of weeks later, we were back in a different Louis Vuitton store, and I spotted another purse, a Capucine, in white, and we ended up buying that purse. Again, in this experience, no other product was even presented to us. They produce a Capucine wallet. It's just totally beyond me as a salesperson that you wouldn't at least gently say, hey, would you like a wallet to go with your new purse? I understand that Louis does not want to be a high pressure sales environment, and we very much appreciate that. Most of the people who come to the Louis Vuitton store probably have a good idea of what they're looking for. But what I would like in my buying experience, because I can't possibly know their entire inventory, is at least to make me aware of other things that I might have an interest in. So we spent over $40,000 in a 3-month period, and Louis Vuitton very easily could have gotten another $10,000 of that if they had made any effort at all to actually sell us a product. So this situation only got worse when I went into the store one day to buy, I had bought a pair of shoes, and while I was buying shoes, I had looked at shirts, and so I went back for a third time, and I was in the process of trying on all these shirts, and I get to talking to this girl named Brianna Larson. I think Larson's her last name. Like I said, it's the Louis Vuitton Boutique in North Park Mall in Dallas, Texas. And she was a team lead there, I believe, and or a manager of some kind, and I cannot say enough. Lovely, lovely human being. I love her to death. And sort of, we got to talking in the process of me trying to find a shirt that would fit, which of course there were none. I was prepared to buy 3 $890 or $870 shirts, and again, the only reason that I did not is because they didn't have the inventory to fit big enough to fit my body. And so in the process of talking about all of it, how much I love their product and how much I'd been studying the history of the company, and I said, I might like to come to work here. Are you guys hiring by any chance? And she said, how would you like to try seasonal? And I said, well, I might be into that. And so real quickly, she was like, yeah, we love you. I had spent an inordinate amount of time in the store at this point. And so she immediately went and got a guy named James Grimes, I believe, who was supposed to be the hiring manager, and got me an on-the-spot interview, which was great. So he takes me aside into this I think it's like a little VIP room, and he asked me to just kind of give him a brief rundown of my work history. And so I explained that I was at one company for 20 years and I'd been in outside sales my entire life, and all of my considerable sales skills and experience far outside the retail environment. So I was used to closing hundreds of thousands of dollars in product deals at a time, not selling like a $5,000 purse. And that's not to take anything from Louis Vuitton. I understand that they're a huge company, and LVMH is a $500 billion company, and obviously the brand sells itself, and so I love it. So it's not to take anything away from it, but in all honesty, I was used to closing deals of a much higher value. And so the interview went really well, and I did the typical thing that you do. Later on that evening, I sent James a text message and said, hey, thank you very much for taking the opportunity to meet with me on such short notice. I really liked the conversation we had. Hope to hear from you soon. Almost immediately, in very professional manner, James wrote back and said, thank you very much for your interest in work, in coming to work at Louis Vuitton. I loved everything you had to say about being a more aggressive salesperson and trying to build a book of your own business and trying to directly market to customers. That's exactly what we're looking for. So I had expressed to him in my little ad hoc interview that I wanted to bring sort of a different style to their boutique and be a more aggressive salesperson, because I felt like they were leaving a lot of money on the table in dealing with their clients, and just by not presenting all of the options that a person might be interested in purchasing if they knew about the product's existence. And so I'm thinking, great, man, this is cool. Bree invited us to a sort of a special event night, and we went out with the kids, and we had champagne, and we had cocktails, and we met other, sort of VIP customers, I guess, and it was just a lovely, lovely evening. And the drinks are flowing, the company's good, and I ended up buying another pair of shoes for my wife. It was a $1,200 pair of sandals. And I met the store director, who was a very nice man. And right then and there, I noticed something was a little strange, because the store director didn't seem to know who I was. And I'd already been through this process with James, where he's assuring me basically that, they're excited about the opportunity bringing me on. He'd already talked to me about a sales lead, a team lead position. We talked about how much money that position would earn, and was that congruent with what I was making in my previous employer. And so my family and I are kind of starting to prepare to go down this road. And then all of a sudden, he just disappears. He just ghosts me. And so he'd asked me to send him my resume. I sent him my resume. And usually when I send an email to somebody, or I request an email from somebody, the professional thing to do is always to follow up. So if I was in a position where I said, hey, please send me a quote for this, let's say, Louis Vuitton suit that I'm looking at. I know they don't quote, but just as an example. And then I received an email with the quote attached to it, I would immediately reply back and say, hey, I got your quote. I'm going to look over this. I'll be in touch as soon as I made my decision. Just to let them know that we're both on the same page. So when I sent in my resume, I got absolutely no response to my email. And I sent the resume in relatively quickly after he requested it. So then a few days goes by, and I sent a follow-up email. I said, hey, just want to reach out, make sure you got my resume. Sometimes these things end up in spam folders, et cetera, et cetera. Really excited to talking to you about kind of the next step. Ghosted. So it's at this point that I start to wonder, why suddenly is there this change of heart? And the only thing I could imagine is that, unlike the environment that I used to work in, which, nobody cared, nobody pried into your personal life, I started thinking, maybe somebody at Louis Vuitton looked at my social media accounts, whether it was my YouTube channel or my Instagram or something, and saw something that they felt was off-putting to would not make me a good hire for the company. Which would be fine if that was communicated to me. And there were a lot of ways that this could have been professionally communicated. They could have said, look, we would love to hire you, but this, could you do something about it? Or, after further consideration, you have a level of online presence that we don't feel meshes well with our company identity, and so, we're gonna go a different direction. Basically, any communication at all would have been professional and would have allowed me to know where we stood, and it would have gone a long way to protecting the business relationship, which is what started all this. So here I am waiting to hear back from them with $10,000 of other purchases that I'm planning to make, and now I just start getting ghosted. So, being the salesman that I am and being persistent the way that I am, I sent a text message to Brianna and said, hey, how are you doing? Had a lovely evening the other night. Sent James my resume, haven't heard anything back, just wanted to check and see if you happen to know anything's going on. Ghosted. Again. So I don't remember, I've got all of the text messages here. Eventually I think what happened was I just got tired of being ghosted, and we went back to North Park Mall for a different purpose, and we went into the Gucci store, and I bought my wife a pair of Gucci mules that I had been looking at, and I stopped by the Louis Vuitton store, and Brianna was there and she gives me a big hug. Hey, how's it going? So good to see you. Haven't really talked to James. I think everything is good. Let's stay in touch. Okay, cool. So finally, after days and days of absolutely no contact, I get James reaches out to me and says, I got your resume. Sorry it took me so long to respond. I was out of town this weekend. I got your resume. Just wanted to let you know we're all hired up. Suddenly, we're all hired up, but we could revisit this in the new year. Hope to see you in the boutique soon. And so if he had left that last line off, it probably would have been fine. But that hope to see you in the boutique soon, after you've been ghosting me for days, you were very gung-ho about going to work together immediately, and then every single person who I've come into contact with and otherwise had good business relationship with now seems to be tripping over their tongues and not knowing what to say to me, started giving me a real bad feeling, not only about Louis Vuitton at North Park, but about Louis Vuitton as a company. Because I can only imagine that the way I'm being treated is consistent with their business model. So you've got a customer who spent a not small amount of money in a very short period of time. You would think at a bare minimum they would want to do everything they could to protect that customer's business. And they did the direct opposite. But again, hey, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that maybe the aggressive nature with which I present myself online was something that was unpalatable to them, and so I was resigned to just let it go. There's tons of other business opportunities, and I started interviewing with other companies. But still, here I am trying to be a Louis Vuitton customer. And so I needed a backpack because I was going on some interviews, and this other backpack that I have kind of got torn up in the process of camping, and I thought, I've got this Louis Vuitton belt, and I've got shoes, and I've got a wallet. Why not get a backpack to match? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to test the waters a little bit. So again, I reach out in text message directly to James Grimes, the store manager or team lead. Again, I forget his exact title there, and said, hey, I'm in the market for a backpack. Could you please let me know what your inventory looks like on black backpacks? And it took him 3 or 4 hours. I think he didn't even respond to me until later that evening, and said, hey, got your text. I'll have somebody look into this for you tomorrow. That's the last time I ever heard from him. That text message was sent. I'd have to dig through my text messages here to try to figure out how, here it is, December the 30th. On December the 30th, he said, probably, I said, James, do you guys currently have any men's backpacks in black in your boutique? He said, possibly. I'll have someone check tomorrow. That was on December the 30th. After I spent almost $20,000 with this particular boutique alone in a 3-month period, it is now January the 9th, and absolutely no one from Louis Vuitton has contacted me to sell me a $3,000 to $4,000 backpack. So I'm going to buy one from fucking Gucci. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm probably going to buy a lot more product from Gucci. So as much as I love the Louis Vuitton brand, and I'm desperately trying not to hate the brand in general because of the horrific buying experience that I had with these two people, I haven't heard from Brianna. I haven't heard from anyone at this company making any effort at trying to retain my business at all, or to account for why there was this massive swing in their attitude toward me as both a prospective employee and as a client. And it's the client side that is so mind-blowing, and is sort of what was the impetus for this video. Because the way I've been treated by Louis Vuitton makes me feel like, I'm good enough to be a customer. My particular personality style and online presence and demeanor, they're happy to take my money. Well, maybe not, because apparently they don't even want to sell me a backpack. But they were very happy to take my money when I was coming to them to the store to purchase products. They were very good at being bought order takers with absolutely zero sales experience at all and left an unconscionable amount of money on the table. They were very good at doing that. But they were very, very, very unprofessional in the way that they dealt with me after they made a bunch of promises that apparently they couldn't keep. And so this video is just to prove the point that social media matters. So apparently in this perspective, I assume, because again, still no one from this boutique has contacted me to tell me what exactly it is their decision has been or is going to be, or why their attitude changed so much. So I'm only left to assume that it had something to do with my social media presence. And so since my social media presence seems to be the thing that it was so off-putting to them on their end, you know, tit for tat, here we are. I'm back on social media sharing a very candid experience of what it was like and how they treated a customer who spent, again, a very large amount of money. So in this luxury, in this luxury niche of the retail market, if you read the news, it is very competitive. People are missing forecasts, and there's been a tremendous amount of turnover at Louis Vuitton in general, from what I hear from talking to other people in the industry. So I've been talking to people at Gucci and at Saint Laurent and various other luxury brands to see how they differ, talking to the people at Christian Louboutin. And so there is clearly a desire in the retail segment to try to find better salespeople to better drive marketing and customers into their boutiques and stores. And then when you have someone who literally was born to do this job and you treat them this way, it looks bad for you as human beings, and it looks bad for you as a boutique, and it really reflects very poorly on Louis Vuitton as a brand. And I know I'm just one guy, and at the end of the day, they absolutely do not give a shit about me. Any videos that I make is not even gonna make the tiniest fucking dent in Louis Vuitton's market share or their revenues or anything. But experiences like these do add up, and social media does have power. And so I'm curious to see in the comments, you know, is this something typical that you find when you go into high-end luxury retail boutiques? Is this what other customers in this market space want? Do you guys actually prefer to just have someone who's totally hands-off and lets you come in and pick the product? Or would you rather work with a sales guy like me who's going to inform you of, hey, look, you know, I see that you've picked out this particular pair of shoes. Can I just show you a belt and a bag that match them perfectly? If you're willing to exchange numbers, I'll keep you apprised of inventory. I'll let you know when new products come in. If I see something that seems to fit with your particular style and taste, I will let you know. If it happens to be a brand where sales exist, like for example at Versace, a couple of times a year they slash prices on things. For me, that was the experience that I was looking for, and that was the experience, honestly, I ended up getting from Gucci. The sales reps at Gucci were much better at following up with you after the transaction that you made. He would send me a list of other items that I'd looked at that day so that I had pricing and availability on hand, and then he would reach out with you know, when things came up that he thought might work well for me. This is the kind of customer experience that I expect, and now maybe I'm in the minority. So anyway, I would love to hear in the comments, do you think that maybe I'm just, you know, too sensitive, this is not the brand for me, or is this also been your experience from these stores that are really good at being order takers and not so good at really providing the level of customer service that you would expect from a brand that purports itself to be at the top end of the top end? So there you have it. Brianna, James, store director at Louis Vuitton in North Park Mall, please reach out to me and let me know what is going on, because at this point as we stand, every single Louis Vuitton product that I purchase from here on out, and there will be many, will be purchased from some other boutique than yours, whether it's online, shipped to my front door, or whether I go up to Plano and try to develop a relationship with somebody else who apparently cares more about my business. Because when I text you directly saying I want to spend $4,000 in your store, and you can't find the time to reach back out to me and at least advise me as to what your inventory looks like, what you have told me is that you do not want any more of my business. And so unless something is done rather remarkably to fix this, you will not be getting another dime of my business. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.